Welcome. I'm your host, Dustin. And today we have two very, very important and special guests on the show, Ash and Ken from Sledgehammer Horror. How are you both doing?
We're doing good. How are you?
Super excited to be here, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ken, I know I was on your show not that long ago, and that was really fun to talk about my first horror movie, which was Halloween, and that was a really, really good talk. I enjoyed that a lot.
Hey, anytime I get to talk horror, man, I appreciate it. Learning how horror starts for people.
And what a great way to start for you.
Let's not.
Oh, exactly. I mean, I'm even repping it right now because I wanted to do a little bit of a
I
throwback
love
to
it.
that.
I
So.
love it.
Glows in the dark
Yeah.
too. So I mean, shout out to Fright Rags.
Nice. Nice.
But
At least that movie could bring something positive to the world.
Oh.
oh man. But we're not here to talk about Halloween or anything like that. We're here to talk about the 1960 Psycho. And Ken, I know you picked this one because this is I guess your favorite movie or one of them. So
Yeah.
why else did you pick this other than it being like one of your favorite movies? Was there like another reason why you wanted to come on for this one, or was it just because of that?
I think that Ashley and I both are very, very big fans of this film.
Mhm.
And I think that, you like you said, it was made in 1960. This movie's 62 years old. And the story is still better than probably 95% of what's coming out today. This
I
is a movie
agree.
that obviously
Yeah.
not only cinematography wise, but I mean everybody, even if they've never seen this movie, who doesn't know the score? The
Exactly.
like this movie in all facets is legendary.
Mhm.
It's an iconic movie, whether it's the cinematography, the acting, the twist, the score. It's just, to me, it's oh my gosh, it's a perfect movie. I There's very little I dislike about this movie.
Yeah.
What about you?
I mean, you pretty much took the words right out of my mouth, but yeah, like the black and white is beautiful, the cinematography is beautiful. Like you said, the score, it just intensifies and it makes, that anxiety build up, and it's just an amazing film. And I mean, it was made way back in 1960 and people are still talking about it today. So Alfred Hitchcock did his job.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
And no CGI, obviously.
Right.
All the effects. One of my favorite shots ever in any movie is when Norma kills the cop and you have her slice his face.
Oh
and
yeah, he's
going
like,
down
oh
the
Yeah.
stairs. Like that shot looks so awesome. And it's just it's one of those things where every time I watch that scene, I'm just in an awe of how
Mhm.
great it looks for being 1960.
oh yeah, and
Absolutely.
I'm a huge fan of black and white films. I really wish like we would have more black and white in our lives. I
Mhm.
understand we have color now and we want to utilize that, and we're also in the digital age with like movie making and whatnot with CGI mixing practical. But
Mhm.
black and white, it's so innocent and so beautiful that it needs to be used more. And also, I think your imagination goes a little bit more wild when there's no colors involved. And that's another reason why I kind of like going back to watching some of the classics, especially like the
Mhm.
Universal Monsters and anything from Hitchcock before he went to color. There's a lot of really, really good films out there that are black and white, and I just don't think they get enough love because they're black and white. No.
Yeah.
Well, there's a
Absolutely.
stigma with people that if it's black and white, it's old.
It's old and it's
Yeah.
boring, and that is not true at
Yeah.
all.
And I really think it's a very sad stigma because,
Yeah.
like you said, there's a lot of very, very good movies. The Universal monster films.
Yeah, I was just gonna say,
Some of the
like
best
Invisible
films.
Man.
Yeah,
That's
Creature from the Black
yeah.
Lagoon. Like these
I got the
movies.
Wolfman right here. A little hard to
Rough,
tell
yeah,
because
Right.
of the
you got,
sun.
Yeah.
right. But I mean, like, it's really such a bummer that there's that stigma around black and white films because, man, the story in these films are just so great. Such great stories can be told even without color. And the very first film that Ashley and I ever made was in black and white. It was a zombie film
Oh
Back
yeah,
in high
man.
school.
in high school,
Yeah.
and we did it just out of pure laziness. Not laziness, but it's much easier as a filmmaker.
I think it was easier for like
blood.
like the blood.
We could just
and
use
stuff
chocolate
like
syrup
that.
for
yeah,
blood.
and it looked really cool. So
Yeah, and that's the other thing is like you can save a lot of money if you're trying to make a film by going black and white because you don't have to worry about all that crap and like colorizing if that's what you're gonna do or whatnot. I just feel like it's a lot easier to kind of get your imagination going and getting your point across. In my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
And another thing too, the short that you guys has put out, really, really, really good. I watched it multiple times, and congrats on that
Thank
work of
you.
art that you put out because
Thank you, man.
we need more shit like that.
Yeah,
we really,
for
really
sure.
do.
That means a lot.
It really does. That's a movie. Our short film is something that is super, super important to the both of us.
Yeah, and we're proud of it.
Very proud of it.
I mean,
For having 2 days.
Yeah.
Deadline 2 days. You have 2 days to film this and get it done, and you can't go back for tearing the house down.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's just crazy.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see what other projects you both have lined up. But I guess before we get
Just wait
into
until
this,
you see Ashley's doing a feature that she's writing right now.
oh hell yeah,
And,
come on, let's do it.
Yeah, it's called
Yeah.
The Ofrenda, and I cannot wait for you guys to see it. So imagine the way that my elevator pitch is a really quick thing. Imagine if Hocus Pocus was a dark, scary, bloody, graphic horror movie. That is what Ashley's writing, and it has a lot of my.
We are writing together.
Yeah, I'm helping.
Yeah.
I'm the
This
Ben
is-
Affleck. She's the Matt Damon
this
for
one's
sure.
more my baby, as where
Home is Where the Haunt Is was mine.
Was his, yeah.
But it also includes a lot of my Mexican heritage with it
Yeah.
as well, obviously with the Ofrenda, a lot of the Spanish heritage that I grew up with. So she's letting me include a little bit of that, which makes me super happy. So I'm just very proud that I get to work with her.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I guess, this can kind of lead us into talking about your channel and what both of you do on really like a daily basis. You have no chill. And I respect that a lot with, people who are in the creative space because there's so much content out there and there's so much to cover, especially us horror freaks, we always want to watch everything and cover everything old. And I feel like the both of you really do that, especially with all the interviews that you do over there as well. Like, there's a lot of interviews that you have on the channel, and it's impressive, man. So why don't you both kind of tell the audience of what you do and where they can find you?
Well, my first horror movie is kind of my offshoot of Sledgehammer Horror, where I bring guests on. I've had Dustin on there. I bring guests on to talk about the first horror movie they watched, how it affected them. We bring on celebrities, podcasters, YouTubers, anybody that wants to come on and talk horror with us. We absolutely love it. And then Ashley's brainchildren are, you want to talk about?
Yeah. We do a segment called Versus, where we take an original versus a remake, kind of talk about things we like from both of them, and then give our opinion on which one we like more. And then we also do another segment called Didn't See That Coming, where we watch a movie with a twist and talk about that and how the twist affected us. I'm really into psychological horror, so I really love a good twist and trying to figure things out like that. And then we do a live each week. We do like a top 10 or franchise ranking, and just bring people on. We have people that come on and chat with us, and it's just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We love this horror community. It's amazing.
The horror community is the best community in the whole world.
It really
It's
is.
so amazing. Yeah, it's and it's funny because she's definitely the psychological horror person. We did a Didn't See That Coming on Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho.
We did.
So I mean, that's how much this movie means to us, man. And I'm more of the supernatural, religious horror. Like, I love The Exorcist. I think The Dark and the Wicked is one of the best movies to come out in the last 10 years. Yeah, dude, such a great movie. And she's more of like the supernatural, or more of the psychological. Like,
I just like,
let me try to figure out this twist as we're going.
Figure it out, and if I can't figure it out, like, my mind's blown, and I love that.
Yeah.
So this is a good movie for that.
I'm kind of like a jack of all trades. I really like everything. Slashers is definitely like what I started out watching when I was younger, so that's always gonna have a really, really big part in my heart. But I also really do like, psychological, like, really fucks you up in the head. There's a lot of movies like that came out, like what is that that movie just came out, the Night House. That was another one that really kind of
Oh,
got to me.
Dude,
Yes, loved it.
dude, I'm telling you, like, I put the Night House up there, and I'm not being facetious or funny right now. I put the Night House up there with the Notebook on how good of a love story it is.
Oh yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
it's
That's
such.
interesting.
I mean, like, people look
I
at it as
appreciate
like
it though. I respect it.
oh,
Yeah.
dude, I'm like Ashley's the gore horror of the group.
Yeah, I love gore.
I'm the sensitive love one. Like, I know that sounds funny, but I love. As funny as that
I'm
sounds,
like, no, rip them apart.
yeah, I
Let's do
love a
it.
good love story, man. And the Night House got me,
Yeah.
dude. Like, I'm not gonna talk about it because it's fairly new, but to find out what the big twist was in
Mhm.
that movie, like, made me emotional. I was like, man, that guy loves his wife almost as much as I love Ashley. Like, he's close,
Yeah.
but he's not all the way
Especially when
there.
your mind goes,
Yeah.
to so many different
Yeah.
places. Like, what's going on
What
here?
dude! I'm glad you brought that up because I think that's such an underrated, fantastic movie.
Mhm.
I agree for sure. There's just a lot of really good movies out there like that, and this is kind of a whodunit, if you want to look at it
Mhm.
that way,
Mhm.
because you're led on a lot in Psycho, and that's a really good thing. I think Alfred Hitchcock was definitely ahead of the time when it came to stuff like this, and he was kind of like that with a lot of his movies. He was inventing and rewriting the wheel a lot because he really wanted that atmosphere when you're in the theater for things to kind of go crazy. And he even told people back then, like, hey, if you're going to see Psycho, make sure that you're in there at the beginning, otherwise we're not going to let you in, because obviously they didn't
Yeah.
want the big twist to
Right.
come out. But
Mhm.
I guess before we jump into that, I'm going to go over to IMDb and we'll do a quick who was in this movie, and then have you guys seen the Rotten Tomato scores?
No.
No? Okay.
I try. We make it a very. We're almost vigilant to not ever look at any critic score on anything.
Okay.
And just like reviews, like, we don't. If we haven't seen a movie yet,
Yeah.
we can't watch our friend. Like, I couldn't listen to you do a review on a movie. I watched it because you're a friend of mine, and it would influence the way I look at a film. So we always want to go in completely open minded because I don't want your opinion to influence the way that I feel about something.
Right.
So
I agree in that. I'm kind of
that's
like
why
that
I
too.
really try to steer clear of that
Mhm.
type of thing.
Right. But that's good because I'm going to be quizzing you guys on what you think the scores are. So I'm going to head over to IMDb right now for Psycho. And of course, Norman Bates, played by Anthony Perkins, who, just completely owns the show. And pretty much
Oh, yeah.
all of the Psycho movies, really. Like, Anthony Perkins is just one of a kind. I don't think anybody else, even though they tried doing it with Vince Vaughn, didn't work at all,
No.
in my opinion, for the remake.
I mean, he tried, but I feel like he just
I gotta
he
be
couldn't
honest.
live up to Anthony Perkins.
Like,
I don't think anybody could.
I agree, but the thing for me is, like, I know a lot of people talk shit on the remake, and it's a shot for shot remake. Like, if you want to say you don't
Yeah.
like it because the acting isn't up to what you expected it to be, I respect that.
Mhm.
But if you say that it's a bad movie, that makes no sense to me because it's a shot for shot remake
Yeah.
of the original Alfred Hitchcock Psycho. Obviously, Anthony Perkins, nobody can touch him.
There was nobody replaceable for
But
that.
for me, I didn't look at Vince Vaughn as a comedic actor. The first two movies I ever watched Vince Vaughn in were the Psycho remake and Domestic Disturbance with him and John Travolta, where he's
Oh,
the evil
wow.
stepdad.
So you went in there really hardcore.
Yeah,
Mhm.
man. So, like, when I seen, like, Vince Vaughn and, like, Wedding Crashers and stuff, I was like, this guy isn't funny. This guy's terrifying.
Yeah.
So, like, I think that's why I had this a lot of people, I think, that watched Psycho watched it after they knew comedian Vince Vaughn,
Yeah.
and they couldn't take him seriously in that role. When I watched it, I was like, yeah, this guy did great. I thought he did good. And even
Yeah.
now when I watch it, I don't it doesn't live up to what the original was
No.
when it comes to the acting on all
Oh,
facets.
exactly.
Right.
I think if they stuck with black and white, I think if they went really, like, all in, don't do any color, and if they really want to do shot for shot, like, true, like,
Mhm.
remake, but it would really just be, that wouldn't even be a remake. It would just be like what would you even call that? Because it is
copy.
shot for shot.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
a redo, essentially. Just do it black and
It's a
white.
it would have just been a modern. What they did was a modernization.
Yeah.
They made it in color to try to appeal to a younger audience, and I believe I've talked with you about this before with the remake. even if the remake is bad, I love remakes because it introduces, maybe somebody hadn't seen Psycho 1960, and then they see this remake and they go back and they watch the original Psycho. So now
That
we
is
just
one
introduce somebody
positive
that had
thing.
never seen it.
I definitely
Yeah.
agree on that really positively. That's like maybe the only positive thing I can really think of a remake, unless the remake is really good and it's like, wow. Like
Right.
my example of a really, really good remake is My Bloody Valentine 3D, because they changed everything. They changed who the killer was. They changed
Yeah.
how some of the characters were. So they really did a remake. They went and
Right.
kind of reconstructed everything, and I love that remake. That's like one of my favorite ones. I really like the original My Bloody Valentine a lot, but yeah, the
You wanna
remake is
tell me
also
your
very
favorite
good.
remake?
What's my favorite remake?
Really?
Oh, I like Child's Play. Yeah. I mean, I don't know that it's my favorite, but
Hmm.
I do like it. Like I know a lot of people get crap about it.
I love it too.
But I like how they took the bones and made it their own.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
they changed it
yeah.
up.
I think the big problem with that movie is the title. If they would have called that
Yeah.
movie Buddy
Buddy,
Doll from
exactly.
the world of Child's Play, it would have completely changed the way people looked at that movie. But I love the fact they didn't try to redo a Charles Lee Ray. They didn't try to do the voodoo thing again.
Yeah,
They
because,
couldn't
I mean,
touch that.
I don't-
Brad Dourif is Chucky.
They could have
Yeah.
never replaced Red Dwarf. Never.
So in my opinion, two of my favorite remakes of all time are Child's Play 2019 and then Evil Dead 2013.
Yeah. Evil Dead was
Yeah,
amazing.
Evil
Love
Dead's
it.
another one where they kind of changed, a lot of things up.
Mhm.
But there's also a lot of controversy, like, oh, that's not a remake, it's a prequel or a continuation or so.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't get into that. To me, it's a remake
Yeah.
straight up. I don't
It
care.
has the same title.
Like you can throw it in there. It's like, oh, this is Evil Dead 3. Like, okay,
Yeah.
in your timeline, that's perfect. For me, remake. All right. When
Right.
a movie has the same title but comes out like 20 years later or even like 10 years later, it's a remake.
Mhm.
You know, you're just changing the essentially.
Yeah, for sure.
But
What's funny is
anyway,
Evil Dead 1, Evil Dead 2 is pretty much a remake of Evil Dead 1.
Mhm.
exactly.
And then Evil Dead 2013 is like its own rehashing of Evil Dead 1. So like
Yeah.
besides the original Evil Dead, like Army of Darkness is the only one that has that continuity of being a completely different
Right.
film. I
Exactly.
love that.
Yeah. That franchise. There's a lot you can pull from that and how they went and did things and whatnot. And
Yeah.
that's, I mean, come on, who doesn't love Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi? I mean, come on.
I don't think I've ever met anybody that doesn't.
Right.
If they don't like them,
the chin of the
walk the other
gods.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Walk
Like,
the other way.
Sorry, can't talk to you anymore.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. But going back to Psycho, we have Janet Leigh, who we all know is Jamie Lee Curtis's mother, and H2O is the I always
Yes,
for some reason always
H2O.
get the titles mixed up. Halloween H2O, she did a little bit of cameo in that one, which was really really cool.
Mhm.
Acting alongside her daughter, which I think was one of her very very last roles, if I'm correct. I don't think she really did anything prior or even after that for a while.
No.
But I could be wrong. And then we have Vera Miles, who plays Leah Crane, or Lila Crane, who is
Mhm.
Marion Crane's sister, who
Yes.
a lot of things happen to Marion, and we will get into that for sure. And then John Gavin, who plays Sam Loomis. And this is another great thing about this movie. Guess what? Pretty much all of the names that were used in this were used in Halloween.
Yeah.
Which is
Also Scream.
Scream, yeah. So that Scream had a lot though. It was like every cop was like a different director's name or something. It was great. But very 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 good cast. There's a lot more, but those are like the four main ones I'm gonna stick to. Because for sort of a small movie, because if you think of it, it really is small. Kind of happens all in like one place, even though you are in a city, but it's all right there at the motel.
Right.
There is quite a big cast, but those are the highest billed ones. IMDb rating is 8.5 out of 10, which is really good.
That is
pretty
really
damn
good,
good
actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see if they're gonna give me a budget because sometimes they do. Oh, they do.
I think it was like 800,000 or
Yep,
something.
yep. It's exactly that. Yep. And it
It's
made
you, babe.
that for the time. That's a lot of money. 1960.
Yeah,
that's
so.
that
Oh,
it really
with
is.
with the Let's Go Brandon inflation, that's got to be way over the top now.
Yeah.
Oh jeez.
Oh man, but this movie has made a shit ton of money. It's made $32 million over the years. I really wish that IMDb or some other source would have a separate thing for like digital sales or physical
Yeah.
media
Yeah.
sales.
Yep.
Because I really want to get those statistics when I'm doing movie reviews and stuff, but to do the math and go on every site and then have to
Right.
get all that together, it's just a big headache.
Yeah.
But that would be something if someone could create that for me. I would love you forever.
Well, especially now, like you guys are both big Halloween fans, and I like Halloween a lot. I give her shit about it, and I give
Michael
you shit
forever,
about
man.
it, but
You give everybody shit.
I'm
Michael
just saying,
forever.
Season of the Witch is the best. But that's a story for
I
another day.
love Season of the Witch. Don't get me wrong, I do.
Just don't call it Halloween.
Yeah,
I have the skeleton
should've-
mask right here, man.
I seen that.
that
I
movie
seen
should that movie should have been called Season of the Title Card.
Yeah,
But-
for sure.
Season
Like
of the
12 title
There's like
cards
12
later.
title
I
cards
think there's
throughout the
more than
movie.
that, like 14
Yeah,
or something.
we just filmed and didn't see that coming on that movie. Like, no joke. I'll tell you right now, there are 16
16
title cards
Holy
That's
shit.
throughout that movie.
I was just watching it
Yeah,
the other day
dude.
too, and I didn't realize that. Now I have to rewatch it
Yeah.
just because of that.
Yeah.
It's so funny how like, and one of them is like they're like
There's
a minute and a
couple-
half.
There's a couple that are just a minute and a half.
Yeah,
or
it's like
less than that.
Saturday the 24th, and then a minute and a half later, Sunday the 25th. It's
It
like
just-
nothing even happened on Saturday. What
it-
did you even put that in there for?
It cracks
They
me up.
slept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what I was gonna say about that is like Halloween Kills is a good example, and Halloween Ends, how they're premiering it on Peacock the same day as theaters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love to know if these people that were streaming it watched it in theater. I mean, look at what Prey did. Prey broke Hulu records
Yeah,
on opening
great
weekend.
movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great movie.
Yes.
And your review that
Don't
you did.
tell me, don't tell me that horror isn't still on the forefront, because like I said, this movie
it absolutely
broke
is.
records on Hulu for streaming, and Halloween Ends will do the same thing. I guarantee it. It's going to break records, but what it's going to do is people are going to look at it and go, well, what was its box office? What did
Yeah.
it make box office?
It
Yeah.
shouldn't be added.
That's
all
not
together.
important
They
anymore.
should have a way, right? But they should have a way to include that, because like John Carpenter just came out and said, I believe it was today, he said this may not, and I love, look, I'm going to be honest with you, I love his transparency here.
Mhm.
He's, John Carpenter's earned the right to be completely brutally honest. And he
Mhm.
came out and he said something around the lines of, please don't quote me, it's not an exact quote. He goes, this may not be the end of the Halloween franchise. Let's see how much money this movie makes first.
Mhm.
Is exactly, I mean, again, it's not word for word, but to sum it up, that's what he said. And again, John Carpenter,
I
you've
mean-
earned the right to
Exactly.
do that.
But who,
You know what I mean? Like,
who doesn't see that? Like,
right.
will it ever end?
It'll be the end
Ken
of the
and I were
Blumhouse
talking about
saga.
that
Yeah.
too on the episode that we're on. We were like, I don't think this is going to be the end. Like they're going to say it,
No.
but it's going to go off and do it's going to be Halloween with just a different title.
Yeah.
That's how I think it's going to be. But
The next movie is going to be called Allison Strode.
yeah.
It's going to
Yeah.
be Allison's turn, man.
Possibly.
I mean, I'm going to be seeing that movie in the theater and on Peacock, so I'm going to be supporting both sides. Like
us too. Us too.
Yep.
any way I can. If I can get up to the theater, I will. But hey, I like the convenience of being at home. I'm not going to lie. I really, really
it
do.
is
The thing that-
convenient, but
the-
I like going to the theater.
The thing
Me
that
too.
sucks for us is we can't go see it on the 14th because our movie premieres. We're
We
going to
can go on
be.
Thursday.
I think we're going to go on Thursday the 13th at midnight
Yeah.
because we have.
That's what I'm gonna be
sorry
doing.
to,
Yeah.
sorry to
Be the
do
night
this
before.
to you and promote ourselves, but
No,
the
go right ahead,
movie-
man.
we're going to be at the red carpet premiere of the movie I'm in, Bride of Killer Pinata. We have the world carpet theatrical premiere. It's going to be premiering in Chicago.
Hell yeah.
And it's on the 14th. And I'm like, oh, I'm just going up against Halloween Ends. Let's see what I rake in compared
That's
to
awesome,
I'll
man.
watch you.
that. you
I'll
know,
watch you
like,
first any day.
I want to see the numbers afterwards to see what I did in comparison to Halloween
Yeah.
Ends. Let me see those numbers, man.
This is another thing that's so great about the horror community. Is you're welcome everywhere. People always want you
Oh,
in
yeah.
projects. Like my old co-host and myself, we were just in a movie called Sweet Relief. That was it's a very local film.
Oh, nice.
That I think I put.
Congratulations,
yeah,
man.
that's
Yeah.
amazing.
I'm pretty sure I put up the clip that we're in the movie that the director Nick Verdi gave to us to put out, and it's really cool. It's a very weird movie, very bloody, but hey, I love that. We just recorded
do
it in
too.
this space. Like our shot was to be like a hopefully Nick's not gonna get mad at me for saying this, but like our um no dialogue was us being like a show on YouTube talking about this thing that the movie's about, and it came out really really well. We did it in like an hour because it was so easy. We didn't have to go anywhere, didn't have to travel. Just did it right here. So that's another thing that's really really awesome about this community is that people are always reaching out, regardless of how
Yes.
big or small
Mhm.
you are, of wanting to do
But
things.
again, now I don't have a psychology major, so please don't take what I'm saying as gospel. But I feel like a lot of us, and again, please don't misconstrue what I'm about to say as a slam towards Scream. A lot of us that were pre 1996 horror fans were looked at as fucking weirdos,
Oh
dude.
yeah, in
You know,
school, like if you
Scream,
liked horror movies all year round,
Yeah.
yeah.
you were weird. You were different.
Scream made horror cool. And whether
Mhm.
you love or hate Scream, you can't deny the impact it's had on the genre, but it made it cool. Like when Scream came out, it was cool to like horror movies then.
Mhm.
People that were pre-Scream, we weren't cool. We were weird. That guy's gonna be a serial killer someday.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I think
yeah.
that makes us so much more accepting in the
Mhm.
community of wow, there's people that are like me. We didn't have this
Still weirdos though.
Oh yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
We'll never not be weirdos.
But we didn't have the ability to Zoom with people or even, text with people about horror, like it
Wouldn't even have the internet, really.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, dial up.
Mom, get off the phone.
Yeah,
For
exactly.
sure.
I've been downloading Scream for 16 days. Come on.
Yeah, horror community is great. If you're
Yeah,
not part of the
for
horror
sure.
community, and you like horror, I really, really suggest that you reach out to somebody, one of us. My DMs are always
Yes,
open.
absolutely.
Yeah, mine too.
Ours too.
And
Yeah, ours too.
always a great, great time. But
Yeah.
Mhm.
I want to ask you, and you can nail this. I guess both of you collectively can guess for the tomato meter on Rotten Tomatoes out of 100. What do you think Psycho 1960 scored?
I'm gonna go 92.
I'm gonna say 89.
96.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
nice. Yes, that makes me so happy.
And it has 108 reviews, and it's certified fresh, which is really, really good.
Yeah.
nice.
Now, what about the audience score? It's got 100,000 ratings plus.
I'm gonna stick with my 92.
Is it? It's out of 100 or is it?
Yeah, it's
like
still out
of
100, yeah.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna go a little higher and say 94.
95. Ashley got that one.
Oh,
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
great job, babe.
That's awesome.
I like you people over there, Rotten Tomatoes, man.
Yeah.
Good for you, all you people that are reviewing this movie. This is such a great movie. I would be remiss to give it anything under a 92. That would be like my borderline right there. There's a couple shots in this movie that make me kind of go, huh?
Yeah.
But I think that if you're giving this in the 90s, you got the right idea for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh, this is interesting. I didn't realize that Rotten Tomatoes had this. So they have the release date when it was in theaters, which was June 16th, 1960, but it also has a streaming release date. You want to guess what that was? When that was? You can just say a year. What year do you think it started streaming?
Oh man,
I didn't even realize they had this.
I'm gonna go with 11.
2009. 2009.
2005, October 4th.
Wow.
You keep
Wow.
crushing me on these. Great job, babe.
I didn't even realize that they had that. I got to pay attention to
No,
that
that's
now.
cool. That's
Yeah.
dope.
Now they're just gonna add, all the sales that streaming and stuff made. That
Right.
would help me a lot.
They
Right.
heard you and they're starting to implement it already.
Yeah, they did it right then and there. They're like, damn it! All right, they caught on to us. But I think that's pretty much all of the backstories and whatnot, going through all the ratings for Psycho. So now we can jump right into the 1960 Psycho. Ken or Ashley, if one of you want to start off and pick a point, and we can talk about it, and we'll see what your favorite scene is. How about that? You have a favorite scene?
I do have a favorite scene.
I wonder if we have the same favorite scene.
My favorite scene is
The shower
when
scene.
I do like
No,
that
that's what everybody
scene a
says.
lot, and it's the most iconic.
It
Everybody
is
knows
definitely
Yes.
that
iconic.
scene.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I like the scene where the sheriff is telling Sam and Lila that Norma is dead,
Yes.
and you get that like chilling, the twist. You know, I think that's so memorable. I love that scene. Is that your scene?
No, it's
Oh.
not, but that's such a good
It's a
scene.
really good one.
Yeah.
Oh man.
It's like your heart's like, wait, if she's dead, then who's been in the
Yeah.
house? Who's been yelling? Who's
Yeah.
been in that window? And it's like, wait, what's going on here? I love that scene.
I'm gonna go with the second most iconic scene, and I'm gonna go with the speech when he's giving the speech when they're in the den and she's drinking out of the saucer. You know, we all go a little mad sometimes.
Oh,
Oh,
You know,
you
he's
stole
talking-
mine, man.
A
Come
boy's-
on,
a boy's
Ken.
best friend is his mother. You know, like that's I love that. Like that to me is acting 101. Like if you want to show a class how to act like a sociopath,
Yeah.
that's the one, because as he's given that whole speech, you really feel a genuine empathy for this guy.
Yeah,
And he loves
You know, a boy's
taxidermy
best
too,
friend
which
is
is
his
also
mother.
really creepy.
right.
Yeah.
It's like I
But
like
even the way that he's
stuffing
attacking
things.
her, you know, like he's, you know, like, what would you know about this? You know,
Yeah.
living up in your high life. You know, like he's totally attacking her at the same
Yeah.
time, but in a way that makes him empathetic. Like,
Yeah.
God, love that scene. Such a fantastic, amazing scene. And the shower scene is great. And it's not even for like any of the nudity or anything like that, but I love the blood swirl.
That swirls around.
Like I love that blood swirl. It's
Yeah,
so good.
It,
And to be made in 1960 and to be able to look that good.
it's effective.
Oh,
Yeah.
such a great scene.
Yeah.
I think that the scariest part of that is really when she falls and you have that still shot of her face on the floor.
Mhm.
That haunts me
Yeah.
more than anything. And the black and white really amplifies that. And they
Oh,
they
yeah.
tried doing that in the colored version, and it didn't have the
It
same
didn't.
effect.
Yeah.
No.
Because it was all colorful, a little. It was kind of blown out too with the lights and everything. The black and white, it was all shades and everything was like really
Mhm.
on her face, and it's just like, damn, what a great shot. And but what, that's 40 minutes in. That's another thing that's really crazy about this film is like it's all advertised, you know, around Janet Leigh pretty much being in the whole film, and
Yeah.
no, you know, Alfred Hitchcock really, you know, kind of got you in the seats for doing that, and then when that
Mhm.
scene happened, everybody was like, "What the fuck did I just watch?
Yeah,
Like, what's happening
she's-
now?
she's
Like,
supposed
where
to
does
be
this
the
go?"
Final girl.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we gotta say, I mean, if we're talking about Psycho, we gotta at least throw out, you know, a little rest in peace to Anne Hesh. You know, we lost Anne Hesh a
Yeah.
couple weeks ago.
Mhm.
Car accident. She was in the
So sad,
remake.
man.
Yeah.
It really is.
It's just like life is so short, man. Like you never know when your switch gets flicked, man. So
She was
just
really young,
appreciate the
too.
people
What-
around you, tell
what
them
was
you
her
love
age?
them,
Like 50 something.
and 51.
Yeah, she was
Mhm.
really young.
About to be
still.
52.
Sucks.
It's horrible.
The world sucks, man.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's such a bummer that, like, you know, something like a car crash, something, you know, that it just sucks, dude.
Mhm.
It does.
And I mean, she was the Marion Crane in the remake.
Yep.
So I mean, we had to mention her real quick. We
Exactly.
just lost an angel. I mean, she was in I Know What You Did Last Summer. Like she was her own little scream queen, man.
Yeah.
So if we're talking Psycho, we at least got to bring her up and show some
I'm
appreciation.
glad that you did
and
that.
love.
I'm glad you did that. Because I even had that as a note, and I was probably gonna forget it. So thank you for doing that.
No, you're all good.
But yeah, this movie is it's bonkers. My son's the same way, so I I understand.
Our 2-year-old is the one that we got a 14-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 2-year-old, and our 2-year-old is definitely our little horror queen.
Hey,
She's the one that
my son's 4 and he's the exact same. He loves horror, man. Loves it.
I just feel like if you talk about, you know, you talk about horror with kids at a young age and you educate them and teach them the difference between right and wrong, fact and fiction, fantasy, reality. I feel like it's going to ground them more in reality. That it's going to help them understand what horror is because they've had an education about it. So
Mhm.
there's
Yeah.
also a stigma. We talked about a stigma to black and white horror. There's also a stigma to children watching horror. Does it create monsters? You know, and I don't think so. I think it
No.
helps them to understand what horror
It's
is.
the same mentality how video games create violence.
Yeah.
It's the
gonna
exact
make
same
you-
thing.
violent.
Ashley is always talking about that. She's like, "That's the stupidest damn thing." We played
I-
Mortal Kombat
I
every
know.
day growing up.
I'm not violent. Like, what? That's
Yeah.
silly.
Exactly. I just like watching people get ripped apart. I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, this movie, it really starts off in a way that you don't really know where it's going. Then you catch on that, oh, she's taking this money because she wants to away, and then
Right.
gets followed by the cops, and then we have the score that that score
Mhm.
that plays out pretty frequently throughout this
Yeah.
whole film, and it's never a dull moment when it comes on. I love listening to
Right.
that score. And another movie that kind of gets a little bit of shit for the score mainly is Reanimator, because they were doing an homage to Psycho in that score, and a lot of people are like, well, you're just ripping off the Psycho theme. No, it took apart and kind of just like revamped it and made it their own thing,
Right.
to kind of give a nod to like, hey, we like these movies. That's another thing that we need to stop doing as a collective, is going after any kind of piece of art that may resemble something that has happened in a different piece of art. Because when you're able to recreate something and give it to a new audience, I think that's a really, really important thing. So keep doing what you're doing.
There's also
everybody.
a huge difference. There's also a huge difference between completely ripping someone off and paying homage to somebody.
Exactly.
As you've seen in our short film "Home Is Where the Haunt Is," we totally pay homage to Texas Chainsaw Massacre with a scene. Like, it's a complete, I mean, you could call it a complete ripoff. The camera shot that Ashley came up with, she was like, "Hey, I got an idea," and she did it,
Yeah.
and I loved it. I was like, "Baby, that was brilliant." But it's a total homage to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and it's not that we're trying to rip the movie off. We're trying to show our love and appreciation.
Exactly.
The Reanimator was the same way. Like, I'm not trying to rip you off. I'm trying to show you how much I love and appreciate you and how much you've influenced me and made me want to do this.
Exactly. So let's stop doing that, everybody. Let's love everybody, unless someone's actually ripping somebody off, then you can say something.
Right.
Like, she sold that car for $700.
Yeah, that is so funny.
Like, back then. Yeah, that's hilarious.
Another thing too is I've never seen a place like that where you could trade in your car and buy another one like that. Like where
Same
I am,
day.
The same, like, 5 minutes. Yeah.
I've never seen that. Like, what is that? I kind of want that, because I'm just completely done with this. Can you just take my plates, everything? I'm not gonna sign off anything. Just here's some money and get a whole new car. Like that was so funny.
For $700.
I know.
$700, yeah.
You can't even get a beater for that now.
Right.
No. You can get, that's like a tire, if that,
Right.
and maybe 2 tires. $700.
Maybe.
And the pouring rain too, like the scene with her being at night, and then she finds the motel, I think is beautiful. Seeing it in the distance and it kind of like creep up. I love that. That's another really beautiful shot. If I had to pick another favorite scene, it's probably that, for sure.
Yeah.
I like one of my favorite scenes, and it's just because it makes me laugh every time, is when she's leaving town and she sees her boss walk across the street,
Yeah.
and they make the eye contact. Like, we always forget about the first act of this movie. The first act of this movie is all about really how much of a bad person she is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
She
like,
just took
stealing
that guy's
money.
$40,000
she's
and
robbing this guy
and left town. She feels guilt. You can see the guilt and the fear, but she counts it. She's gonna go back. She counts to see how much she had spent.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, I'll
She
put
was
it
gonna
back. Don't
return
worry. I'll just put it back later.
Yeah.
She was gonna return it the way that Harry and Lloyd did in Dumb and Dumber. Those are IOUs.
Yeah.
Those are better than
Yes,
suitcase.
exactly. That's a great way. We should definitely start doing that in real life for everything.
Right.
Let's write IOUs to
Oh,
everybody.
That's better than money, sir. That's an IOU.
Yes.
It's a good one. That's a car. You got to hold on to that one.
Oh man. And then when she finally arrives at the motel too is great. We get introduced to Norman. We learn how quirky he is, and we're like, oh, we like this guy. He's nice.
Yeah.
He's well composed. There's a gigantic house in the back, but hey, who cares?
Right.
And then they get leaded into that scene where we all go a little mad sometimes.
Mhm.
Great,
I think that's what
great scene.
makes it so scary is he's charming, but yet, and those are the kind of people, you never know what they have, underneath it all. Like they're super charming, but he is this demented person, So that's,
I mean, schizophrenia,
Yeah.
like associative, or was it identity disorder? The dissociative identity
Yes.
disorder. It's scary, man.
it really is.
Yeah. One question that I want to ask is, since everybody I hope has seen this movie, and I'm going to spoil the ending right now, his mother's not real.
It's 62 years old. If you haven't seen it, it's time to watch it.
Yeah.
Right.
But what if his mother was real? Where do you think this movie would have gone? Like, what if it was actually his mother doing the killing and it wasn't him? Do you think that it could have been written differently, or do you think it would have played out almost the same? Because that's something that I've always thought about with this film. Was like, hey, what if his mother was actually real, and
like
was
Jason
exactly
and the
what
Mama
he was
Boy.
saying? How she was
Mhm.
like all like completely gone. The doctor said that she has just like kind of just lost everything and doesn't do anything around the house other than like yell at him and whatnot and say stuff. Like, I mean, we have the TV show, that came out. Was it called Bates?
Bates
Oh.
Motel.
I think it was just called Bates
Yeah,
Motel.
it was.
So I guess we kind of do get
Yeah.
a little bit of that, of him being, growing up. But I don't know. I always thought it would be really weird if throughout this whole movie his mother was actually real and it wasn't him dressing up like her and doing all these killings.
I think it would be less on Anthony Perkins and how well he played him, and then his mother.
Look at
'cause
the
he's,
end.
He's legendary. He's like
Yeah.
Alfred, as
wouldn't
legendary as
even-
Alfred Hitchcock.
I wouldn't
is.
even swap that fly.
Yeah, like
You know,
all
like none of that would have made as much sense.
Right.
And I don't think we would have ever gotten Friday the 13th.
The
Yeah,
Mama's Boy,
I agree.
Friday the
I don't-
13th.
I don't-
Yeah.
Because Friday the 13th was literally a ripoff of Psycho and Halloween together.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
that's what it was the mixture of those two movies. And if it would have been the actual mother, I don't think we would have ever gotten a Friday the 13th. That could have caused the butterfly effect that I might not be here today.
True.
Yeah. Because Friday the 13th is one of the biggest horror franchises in my life.
Oh, I thought you meant like that's why you were conceived.
Psycho.
Yeah, Friday the 13th.
The fact that Norman was Norma is the reason my parents made love.
They're like,
Yeah.
okay, we got
Oh wait, it was Norman? Come here, baby. My mom and dad, fucking weird. Change the subject. Go back to
Okay.
killing people.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That's always just been a thought of mine. And like, oh my god, maybe there was like a weird like battle between mother and son. I mean, there technically kind of is in his mind throughout this
Yeah.
whole
Right.
film of him having that internal battle and always, saying, oh, my mom does this and she wants me to do that, and then I do this because she can't
Mhm.
do that and whatnot. I don't know. That's just something fun to think about. And then we,
With that personality, his mom is
Yeah.
more it is stronger. Like
Yeah.
she takes over.
Real quick, before your next question, I talked earlier about weak scenes. Can we talk about how weak the scene is when Norman is apprehended? I
Yeah.
hate that scene so much.
Like, come on, Norma.
Like, I hate that scene. Like, I genuinely hate that scene
He
because
just takes him out, just grabs
yeah,
his
just
arm.
grabs his arm and like this moment has been built up so huge, and you get that reveal, and you've just been punched in the stomach. Like, oh my god, it's him.
Mhm.
You know, like we see dead mom now, who's been doing this the whole time, and he runs in and he's got that Anthony Perkins smile, and you're just like, oh my gosh. And then he just grabs his arm and pulls him down. Like,
And yeah, no fight.
that to me is the weakest part of the movie. Like, if I talk about how there's no such thing as a perfect horror movie, this is probably up there in the top 3 of how close you could possibly get.
Absolutely.
I agree.
That ruins it for me. Like that scene right there is just such a bummer. And they do redeem themselves.
Yeah, with the whole court
the
case
mother's
and everything.
dialogue.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that one scene is just so weakly done that it bums me
I
out.
want to see a little more stabby.
Yeah, I wanted to
Norman.
see a little more fight there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is kind of cool to see a movie like this have like a a court case, like them actually in
Yeah.
court for this stuff. You don't see that in horror movies, especially with like slashers like this, you don't see that. You just see them go off to jail or they die, but you don't ever see them get prosecuted. And then
Right.
Mhm.
you get that really really creepy shot of Anthony sitting there with the dialogue and it's zooming in his face and he's got that smile.
Mhm.
That iconic picture it's brilliant. There's
The superimposition
whole
of the
movie's
skull.
great.
Yeah.
Like I never even know until we did our didn't see that coming. I never even noticed the skull that they put over top of his face.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Like when he's smiling and they cut to the car, they do that, the dissolve fade to the car. How they just ever so slightly put a skull over top of his face at
it's
that
very
moment.
subtle.
Dude,
Yeah.
never noticed that until we were doing our didn't see that coming, and I was like, "Did you see that?" She's like, "Yeah, it's a skull." I was like, "You knew about this and you didn't tell me?"
Yeah.
Like we've been together 17 years, and now you're gonna leave this shit on me? Like
Well, you're gonna notice everything.
I know, and I'm usually the eagle eye one, and I don't know, like that is just such an incredibly intelligent thing to show that the mother is taken over completely, and
Yeah.
Norman is dead inside now. The skeleton, he's dead
Yeah.
inside
Norma.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Brilliant. That's
I think I found out about that because I didn't know about that until I think last year on an episode of Mick Garris's podcast Postmortem, and he was interviewing
Yeah.
Anthony Perkins' son, and they were talking about that, and I had no idea. And then I watched it again. I was like, oh wow, you're right. That is a really creepy way to end this. And there's a lot of creepy shots in this film, and just like his mannerisms and how Norman like walks and how he talks and how he's always
Yeah.
eating something. He's
Always.
always chomping on something. And that must be like a tick or something for him to always like have to do something to maybe calm his
Yeah.
nerves or to maybe seem more intelligent. I don't know why he does that other than maybe it's just a habit.
Mhm.
But I've always really liked the after the shower scene when he has to put the body in the back of the trunk and puts all the stuff in there, throws away the fucking money. It's like, God,
Yes.
just
He
check
doesn't
even
the
know what's in
newspaper.
there.
Check the
Right.
newspaper. What are you doing?
At this point, you really feel like he's cleaning up after his mother, which he is.
Yeah. In his mind, he is.
When he walks in, he's like, "Mother, what did you do?" Like you're getting that feeling, like, "Oh my gosh, this really is just a crazy old lady
Right.
without killing people for being naked."
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it's created a tension, a fear. The shower scene. We got to talk about the scene, obviously. When are you more vulnerable than that?
Yeah. Naked in the shower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're naked in the shower. Somebody pulls that curtain back. Your first instinct isn't to protect yourself; it's to cover me as a man. I'm going to cover, kick, and scream. Get away!
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just like that scene to me, and it's been done so many times. Like even in like movies that we love, like What Lies Beneath.
Mhm.
You have the bathtub scene and What Lies Beneath, which is so good.
There's so many shower
The
scenes
tagline,
nowadays.
the tagline in What Lies Beneath. If you don't believe me, look it up. This will do. Freak. I have it downstairs. I'll have to get it when we're done so I can read it to you. It's like this does for baths what Psycho did for showers. Like, and I think that like they put their influence right on the cover. You know what I mean? Like that's awesome. That's
Mhm.
awesome,
Yeah.
man. And obviously that scene is really one of the big turning points in the film.
Yeah.
40 minutes in, yeah, like
What-
crazy.
What you obviously we're men on the panel, so when we watch the scene, we're like boobies. Like what's your take on the shower scene? Like how does that scene affect you?
Boobies.
Yes. For sure.
No, I think that's scary. Like I'll peek out like if I'm here alone
Yeah.
and I'm taking a shower and
You
I
do
hear
that when
something.
I'm here because I always
Yeah,
come to
because
the
he's always
bathroom.
peeking in on me. Weirdo. But yeah, I'll like peek out like who's there? That puts a fear in you for sure. Yeah.
I mean, I still till this day always think I hear or see something when I'm in the shower and I have to peek out,
Yes.
and it's because of this
Always,
movie.
man.
It's 100%.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I kind of like that feeling though of always thinking you're being watched. I know a lot of people are like, wow, that's such a creepy feeling, but I don't know. I get some sort of weird comfort out of that because maybe
More
there is
observant.
someone there.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
I gotta ask you, man. What are your opinions on the rest of the Psycho franchise, 2, 3, and 4?
It does have like a bit of a drop off, but then it comes back. I think it's for on Psycho 4. And also just like seeing Anthony Perkins' act in general is always
Mhm.
a pleasure. But yeah, there's a couple of them I was like, but I think Psycho 4 is when I was like, you know what, this is a really, really good one. And I haven't watched them in a long time. I do get tempted every now and then to go and revisit them, but usually when I think Psycho, I'm like, I'm just gonna watch the original. You know?
Mhm.
But there's
We
nothing wrong with having a
love
franchise,
Psycho
you know.
2 and 3, man. Like we love Psycho 2 and 3. I'm not a big fan of 4. It's not bad, but it's just like I feel the same way about Psycho as I do The Exorcist. Like you're not gonna The Exorcist 3 is my personal favorite in that franchise,
Mhm.
but you're never gonna capture what you had in the first one.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
If this would have been a standalone film, that as much as I love the
It
sequels,
totally could have been a standalone
Yeah.
film.
could have been a standalone completely.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that was originally the plan, was to just have like a one-off, but then they saw the money it was making, and they're like, hey, I guess
Mhm.
we'll get some other people to go and direct some other ones and see where it goes. And they there was some
Well,
drop-offs and
usually what-
whatnot. It's always hard to sell a sequel, in my opinion. I feel like it's
Yeah.
always really, really hard for you to kind of get picked up from that. But another like favorite scene of mine is when he goes to dump the car and he's watching it,
Mhm.
and there's that one moment where it's not going down all the way, and he's just like, oh
He's like,
shit, I
"Oh,
fucked
shit."
up.
Yeah.
And then it goes down and he eats some more and he's like, yeah, okay.
I got this. Yeah.
And he just walks away.
Yes.
Such a great
so
scene.
good, man.
And then obviously the detective, which is also another great character. That whole dialogue between the both of them is really, really good. And then, ultimately meets his demise. Which
Mhm.
is Ken, you were saying that was like one of your favorites, was seeing him just fall
Oh,
down the
man.
stairs and getting cut.
Because I love that they did that practically.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That was all done practically. Like I have a deep appreciation for practical effects over
Me
CGI.
too.
And back in 1960, yeah, you couldn't just say, we'll fix it in post.
Right.
They had to do that scene on a dolly, and it looked so damn good. I love that scene so much. And say what you will about 98 Psycho. I think it was 98 or 96. They recreated that scene brilliantly. It looks so good in that one too. So that to me, when I talk about amazing scenes in movies, that has to be one of the ones that I have to bring up because it just looks so good. I adore that scene.
Mhm.
yeah, I agree. And also the build up for that too is really good. The suspense in this movie, obviously, that's what Hitchcock is famous for, is for suspense, and he nails it on every single scene. That when there's not much going on, silence, and people just like going through, and all the times when Norman has to go and clean up after himself, how he doesn't talk at all. It's all silent. It's just the
Mhm.
surrounding music and whatever score they want to put on. It's brilliant.
Mhm.
There's so much to talk about this film, so I'm gonna leave it up to you guys, and you can pick some other talking points that you wanna bring up for this awesome film.
I just, like you said, how brilliant it is. I think that it stands the test of time because it connects with, directly with our fear of meeting a madman and not knowing he's a madman and he's going to kill us, our fear of disappointing our mother. Like,
Yeah.
Hitchcock knew exactly what he was doing, and he connected with us through our fears. So
I like that.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
disappointing your mom. Like, yeah, that's
Who
something
doesn't
we're
fear?
all
Yeah.
scared of.
Absolutely.
And like, and Hitchcock, whether it was this or Rope or The Birds, like the guy was he was an asshole, impossible to work for.
Yeah,
But
I've
you
heard
can't
that a
deny
lot.
that he's brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, he was,
He
Made a
knew,
lot of
almost
money
evil to
though.
his
he knew
I
what
know.
he knew what he wanted.
Yeah.
And he expected people
and it's
to
just like Stanley
do
Kubrick,
that.
he was the same way.
Yeah.
Different era, I guess, but I don't like
Yeah.
to hear about it. I just, as a father of two young girls, as a husband of 17 years, as a guy that was completely almost Norman Bates obsessed with his mother, she was my best friend too. So I hate to hear that women get mistreated because of the fact they're women and they feel like they can. But
Right.
I'm right there
Psycho,
with you,
to me,
man.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like it does stand the test of time because Scream, which, while it's not my favorite horror franchise, it's the best in my opinion. When it comes to a horror franchise, I think Scream is the best. when you want to talk about, as of recording, there's 5 out.
Well, with continuity too.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that
continuity
continuity with all the Scream movies
quality.
is great.
Yeah.
And every single Scream movie has more than one huge nod to Psycho. Like that's the influence it still has today. I mean, in the newest Scream movie, you got the shower scene almost done beat by beat until you get him actually leaving the shower. In Scream 4, Officer Perkins, you know, like there's just everything they do. They wanted to pay homage to Scream all the way back in the original, you know. We all go a little mad sometimes. Anthony Perkins, Psycho, you know, like they've always been paying such great homage to a movie. And Friday the 13th, like I said, would not exist were it not for Psycho. And there's just so many great things that this movie's brought us that we're still getting today. And it's a movie that every time we watch it, like I said, the last time we watched it was I noticed something new that I had never seen before.
Yeah, which is awesome. You can pick up on new things every time.
Yeah,
that's why I love movies.
It's entertaining.
Like,
yeah,
your brain develops around them. The more times you watch it, like I don't know if it's just because maybe something gets a little bored, like in your vision or your mind, and they you know, fixate on something you never fixated on before.
Yeah.
And then you're like, wow, I never noticed that before. And it makes you love that movie even more. No matter how many times you've seen it. You know, I've had movies that have done that to me when I've watched it maybe 20 times. And like the 21st time I've watched it, I've never noticed this one thing before. And that it's so beautiful. And I love film. I love it. It's
art.
Amazing.
It's amazing. Yeah,
it is, and it's here
and
forever.
Psycho is nothing short of extraordinary. You know, like this is, like I said, when we had the opportunity to talk about this movie, I knew I had to jump on it because it created, in my opinion, this was one of the starters of the slasher genre.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, and a lot of other people hold it to that as well, and I'm in that group. Yes,
well, I think this started it. I think Black Christmas really upped the ante on the slasher. And then Halloween just
you have to admit it.
No, Halloween 78 is what pushed it into the mainstream.
Yeah.
And you know, like
Michael Forever, man.
I feel Psycho. I feel like Psycho and Black Christmas. And again, this isn't me ripping on Halloween. I feel like those are superior films. But Halloween, the impact that it's had, it's like Kiss, you know, like the band Kiss. Like I've never really gotten into Kiss. They're not my cup of tea. But to sit here and say that that's not one of the most influential bands of all time is a flat out lie.
Yeah.
People paint their faces just like the Insane Clown Posse. I'm a Detroit boy. I'm still not a huge Insane Clown Posse guy. Like it's not my thing. But to say that they got juggalos, you know, like groups of people that will follow them to the end of the world. And whether I like it or not, I respect the shit out of ICP. I respect the shit out of Kiss. I respect the shit out of Halloween and Michael Myers because they took the slasher and they made the boogeyman a reality.
Yeah.
They made him a real person. It wasn't Billy, where we never see him throughout the film in Black Christmas. It wasn't Norma Bates, where it's a guy that has schizophrenia, dissociative identity disorder. This is just evil.
Yep.
The blackest eyes.
The devil's eyes.
You know, like, and Halloween made that. So without Halloween, I probably wouldn't be here either. I don't know if Halloween got my parents freaky or not. You know, I like that Bill Shatner mask. Come here for a second.
Here you go.
But you know, like Halloween it's probably the most influential horror movie ever made.
I agree.
I'm right there with you. That's another thing is I love how we agree on so many things, and you know the horror community is like that. Also, I mean, yeah, people will have like their differences on stuff, but for the majority, like people agree with a lot of other things that people say, and I like that. I like being in a community where you can relate to people for sure.
Absolutely. Yes. And then when you do disagree, like they're still kind and they listen and they respect your opinion.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, for sure.
Like, okay, sure, I don't agree, but
well, see, and that's me because I've gone on record many times saying I don't think Halloween is the perfect film, and people bash me for it.
I do,
and I'm like, I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's this absolute, perfect shot for shot movie that everybody makes it out to be. I see a lot of flaws in the OG Halloween. It created something amazing, but a lot of the shots drag on for way too long with no suspense being built. Michael Myers is fucking boring. He is boring.
Okay.
Um,
Shots fired over here. Okay.
But I'm saying, like, I love the movie. I think that the acting in it's phenomenal. Dr. Loomis is one of my favorite characters of all time. Lonnie, get your ass down from there.
I love
And then
that.
just how happy, like the absolute elation that comes across his face.
He's like, yeah, I scared those kids.
Like he's so
I did
proud of
that.
himself. Like,
Yeah.
God, I love Donald Pleasance, but I don't think Halloween is the untouchable movie everybody makes it out to be, and they should not pay for it. But God, we're all allowed to have our own opinions, and that's what. If we all felt the exact same, there'd be no reason for us to be on your podcast right now because everybody would know what the hell we were going to say.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know, we all felt the exact same way. So
you can have your opinion as wrong as it may be.
Yeah, Ashley. But you know, since we're talking about opinions, I guess we can kind of go to our ratings. I feel like we covered, you know, all the main points on this film. There's a lot to talk about, and we could go on for hours, you know, because it's such an amazing film. But let's move on to our ratings, and you can rate this out of 10 however you want. Ken, we'll start with you.
as an overall film,
Yeah, however you want to rate it. Yeah.
9.5. 9.5
Wow.
skulls out of 10. Like I said, the only major part to me is the capture of Norma
Yeah.
Bates. That's the biggest qualm I have with this movie. And if that's the biggest qualm you have with the movie, that shows how great the whole movie is. The dialogue is great. I don't got to hear people shouting "Evil dies tonight" for 45 minutes of the runtime.
Always got to put that stat.
You know, the dialogue is great. The acting is just, like I said, like I really feel like you could teach a class. If you want to teach a class on how to show emotion in a movie, you show someone Denzel Washington and John Q. Period. If you want to teach someone how to be a sociopath, show them Norman Bates. He's the perfect example of a sociopath. And Anthony Perkins nailed this movie to the point to where you still have people that are completely copying his role in this movie for their roles. And that's not a stab at anybody.
No,
Why not model yourself after the best?
exactly.
You know?
Improve on it, you know, make it your own.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Sure.
And you know, the kills in this are great, even though it's just, like I said, stabby. The originality is the way that they're shot. You know, like I said, this coming down the stairs, the freeze frame on her face in the bathtub, like you said, after the shower scene. It's just like it really, really haunts you. And then hearing that he poisoned his mother and stepfather.
Yeah.
You know, like
All that
they're
crap.
dead because of him. Like there's just so much that comes along with this movie that is just like deeper than a horror movie.
For sure.
You know, like there's definitely a lot about mental health in this movie. There's a lot about familial relationships.
Yep.
Alfred Hitchcock had a way, you know, just like all horror. Night of the Living Dead 1968 does the same thing. Guess what, guys? Horror has been woke since 1960. It's talked about political and, you know,
It's always
issues
been.
since then, and
Horror's always
it
been
has
political.
always been.
Always.
Yes,
For
it
sure.
absolutely has.
It shapes around what's going on in the world, and you know, politics is an
Mhm.
unfortunate huge part of our world. As much as a lot of us don't
And
want it to be,
the
no, but
internet has
it's-
only made that worse.
it
Sure.
you know,
But-
it's something that's always been there, unfortunately.
Mhm.
So me personally, I'm going to say 9.5, and the only big qualm I have is the Norma Bates capture. What about you, my love?
I'm gonna give it a 10. I really
Whoa,
enjoyed it.
10 out of 10. Yeah.
10 out of 10. Okay, bye. No, and honestly, the scene where that you say, you know, he's weak or whatever, I kind of feel like it's because he's like his mom in there, and you know, he's easy to take down. That's what I get from it. But I mean, the cinematography and it's amazing. It's beautifully shot. And I could put it on at any given day, and it still holds up to the test of time. So yeah, 10 out of 10 for me. You know, it makes it, the fears that you get from it, the anxiety. I love that feeling, and I get that from this movie. So yeah.
Nice.
Fair.
Yeah. I'm right there with you, Ashley. I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10 myself. Because it's a movie. If I'm thinking it for the first time I've watched it, you don't know where it's going. And
Yeah.
the first time I did watch this, I had no idea that, you know, Janet Leigh is only in it for 40 minutes. I was very I guess you could say, naive to a lot of horror facts and stuff. I wasn't really doing deep dives way back when, and I watched this on TV, I think, or I rented it. I don't really remember it. It's been a long time. But going back to like the first time I watched this movie and how shocked I was, and just like, they can do this. They did that. They advertised it like this, but it came out to something completely different, and there's still an hour left to the film. What? Never seen that before. Never seen it, and I haven't seen it since. Really, I don't think anybody's really tried to do. Hey, let's have a big person on screen, and we're gonna kill him not even halfway through the film, and then continue for another hour. I don't think that's really happened since.
Yeah,
Drew
Barrymore. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
But again, homage.
Yeah, but other than that, other than like giving like a nod to a film like as like an original thing as its own, I don't think I've ever seen that other than Psycho. And then seeing Anthony Perkins just go completely insane without really being insane, if that makes any sense. Even though he is insane, but just like how he comes off on people, he has a way to kind of persuade them for them to think he's really smart, because he is a smart guy. He's really, really, really smart in this film.
Oh yeah.
And the way that he can persuade people to do things, or for him to get away with certain things, even with the ending shot, he knows like it doesn't even matter. I've done all this stuff, and I'm gonna fucking do it again. And he does. There's 3 other movies to prove it. It's an amazing film. So 10 out of 10 for sure.
Awesome.
I mean, like, even though I gave it 9.5, I can't argue. Like I said, like, I'm very, very critical.
Yeah.
Very critical. So for me to give something a 9.5,
that's good. That is actually
it takes a
pretty
lot.
good. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I am the most critical. Listen, we watched Halloween 3: Season of the Witch, and I noticed a point in the movie where it's night outside when it's supposed to be day, and I picked the scene apart. Like, I paused. I was like, "Look at when they open the door, it's actually night outside when it's supposed to be day." Like, what the? Like, that's the level of critic that I am when it comes to watching a film, and I give Psycho a 9.5. The only film I've ever given a perfect rating to. You want to say what it is?
Is it?
It's not a horror movie.
Yeah. Oh shoot! No, I can't think of what it's called.
Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Pee-wee's Big
Hell
Adventure.
yes.
The only movie I've ever said.
I mean,
hey,
you could argue that it is a horror movie.
This is 100. Oh, there's definitely horror elements, like the large Marge scene.
The Doctor
the clowns
Dream
when they take the bicycle.
Yeah, the dream
Yeah,
sequence
man, like,
that
there's
haunted me
definitely-
as a kid, man. Holy shit.
Yeah, that to me is the only perfect movie I've ever seen in my entire life. Nightmare on Elm Street, Psycho, American Werewolf in London, House 1986. Like,
Okay,
these are
nice.
up there. Back to the Future is up there. But I don't think any of them can hold a candle to what Pee-wee's Big Adventure did for me. It's funny, it's got horror, it's got a great story.
Yeah.
It sent me
Burton
looking
did
for
a
the
great
basement of
job.
the Alamo, like
Yeah.
Tim Burton's best movie, hands down, and I'll die on that hill. Anybody you want to come at me with Batman, Edward Scissorhands, Nightmare Before Christmas, I will fight to the death.
Now we
that
got
Pee-wee's Big Adventure is Tim
Wednesday
I
coming
was
out
gonna say,
now.
You literally like hate all of those.
Yeah.
I'm
very
excited for that.
So excited for. Listen, and I'm not a Tim Burton fan.
He's
Funny
not.
enough,
He doesn't like
I'm
Nightmare on Elm
not.
Street.
I don't like
Or
Edward
not Nightmare
Scissorhands.
on Elm
I
Street,
don't like Nightmare Before
Nightmare
Christmas.
Before Christmas.
Not a big fan of like his Willy Wonka stuff that he did.
Yeah, Willy Wonka I can kind of
But
just
I
brush
think
that to
that
the
Wednesday
side.
looks very good.
Yeah.
And I think it's because growing up, like Nightmare Before Christmas, it just never. I don't know. Like I don't know, man. I want to like it. Yeah, just like Trick or Treat. I want to like it. Like when I play Kingdom Hearts, I love the Nightmare Before Christmas level, and I'll be like, "This is Halloween."
Mhm.
This, like, and that's the only reason I know that song is from Kingdom Hearts.
That's
you know,
hilarious.
like,
I love
Or
that.
because you're sent to watch it all
Yeah.
the time.
I love Kingdom. Dude, I'm such a Kingdom Hearts nerd, man. Like I have the Keyblade in my room.
Oh,
Like,
man, yeah.
I
He sleeps
love
with
it.
it.
I sleep with it. So that way, if anybody attacks me, I can jump up
Get
and
it.
get him with the Keyblade.
That's awesome. If that happens, actually, you better be recording that because I want to see that. If he just wakes up in the middle of the night swinging that thing around.
Oh,
Now
I'm
everybody
gonna record it while you're fighting him off.
everybody really thinks I sleep with a Keyblade now.
You don't.
Oh man, that's great.
Touche.
That's a new meme for your show. You can just implement that in your episodes now. Of
Right.
nightly
Keyblade
sleep
and
with
everything.
Ken. Just you're sleeping with a keyblade. Oh man,
That's great.
this was a great time, guys, and I really do
Yeah,
appreciate
this
both
was a
of
lot
you
of
coming
appreciate it,
on.
fun.
man.
And,
Any chance we have to work with you, dude, we're gonna take it. Whether it's
Yeah.
on our show or your show, like it's always
next
such
time
a
Dean
great
will
time
be
when we get
will
to
be
work
there.
with
I
you.
promise. He has a really hectic next 2, so he has to be very picky with
Dude.
what he can do. Unfortunately, and it's
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to
always
work with us either.
yeah, I'll let him know. But yeah, this was great, and I guess before we end it, I'll let you guys, explain again where everybody can find you and what you got going on, and you can tell them about the red carpet that's going on, because that's a big deal. That's a really big deal, and
Mhm.
congrats,
Yeah,
man. That's
thank you.
that's awesome.
Yeah, so you could find us every social media, Instagram and Facebook, Sledgehammer Horror, youtube.com/Sledgehammer Horror, and then Twitter is Sledgehammer Horror, HOR. And then we put out a video every Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Slaying it.
Didn't see that coming. Yeah. Or yeah.
Yeah, no matter what, whether it's a Versus, I didn't see that coming, or a My First Horror Movie.
Mhm.
And then every Sunday we release it. This week on Sledgehammer Horror Short, where Ashley talks about what we have coming up that week, and we do one live a week.
Which is always different.
Yeah, it's either a franchise ranking, a top 10.
Well, the day too.
Yeah,
I love
the
it.
day's always different.
I love it.
Mhm.
I love it, but I
we,
hate it at the same time, because you guys put out so much content, and I'm like, I gotta catch up. Stop, pause. But that's a
I
good
don't
thing.
think people understand the level of work that goes into doing what we do. Podcasts, in general. Because I'm also a father, and I'm a very proud father, and I don't miss a dance class. I don't miss a football game. I don't miss a baseball. You know what I mean? Like, I'm there for every single thing my kids do, and I think that's why we front load everything. Like right now, we're recording. Today is August 30th, and my episodes are uploaded on the channel to the beginning of November. So that way,
That's
if I do
awesome.
gotta take a week off to go and be with my son, and he's a freshman starting football on varsity, I can be at every game.
Awesome.
I don't have to worry about missing interviews and getting behind, because being a parent is something that it's our number one.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Horror
love
is
that.
amazing, man.
Mhm.
Like, and the community is great, but watching my kid get a sack, there's literally no better feeling than watching my son get up and celebrate and smile.
Yeah.
And
That's when I celebrate too.
That's
'Cause I
awesome.
usually don't know what's
Yeah.
going on. But
What-
I'm like, oh, this is a good thing.
watching my daughter be able to go to dance class and come home and show me her whole routine,
Mhm.
And going and watching her on stage when she does her dance recitals, and how proud she is of herself. And like, these are the things that I live for.
Right.
Like, that's what my life is. And
Mhm.
horror is a huge part of my life. Sledgehammer Horror for the last 2 years has been the number 2 thing in my life, besides her and the kids. That's how important it is. But we talked earlier about how short life is. We don't know when that switch can get flicked. So you need to, family. I'm going to go click family first,
Right.
like, it's just, you got to appreciate what you have and love everybody around you, and tell them as often as you can, because you don't know when.
Mhm.
100% agree.
Right.
100%. This was a blast, guys. Thank you so much. Seriously, this was
Yeah.
great, and I can't wait for everybody to listen to
Anytime.
this. Yeah, we'll definitely get you both on again, and we'll chat after, and we'll see if there's anything else that we can do on your show, and get Dean there.
Yeah.
We have a
sounds
lot
good.
of really exciting stuff going on in the background, with just Dean and I, not even like podcast related, just some really, really, really cool shit, and I can't wait to announce all of it. So everybody stay tuned for that. It's going to be a great next year and a half. Seriously, we have a lot of really cool stuff.
It's exciting.
And
I do also want to say, I don't know when this episode's going to air, but October 14th, Amazon Prime, Bride of Killer Pinata. Make sure you're watching it, and you'll see yours truly. And I'm not saying this because it's me, but I have the best part of the movie.
I'll be making sure I
So,
make that 100%. I'll be there.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I'll let everybody know about that too. But I think that's about all we have for this show. We talked about Psycho, and we learned a little bit more about Ken and Ashley, about what they do, and it was a great, great time. So here we are signing off. This was the Baron's Hideout Podcast. I was your host, Dustin. Our guest, Ken and Ashley Sledge from Sledgehammer Horror. We'll see everybody later.